All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday to all the wonderful Keller Williams people that are going to be listening to this wonderful interview we have today and Thursdays with Broker Bob. I'm really excited about the guest we have today. I don't know if she knows how much I really admire her strength and grit and her gumption. Now that I know, really have an understanding living in Chicago, and she's from the South Side. Now I really get it. But anyway, really excited today to interview our wonderful Nicole Priore. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Fantastic. So this is pretty easy. I just kind of ask questions. We like to go over what's the good, the bad, the ugly about real estate. And I'd like to find out about people when they got into the business and some of the challenges they may have had. So how long have you been in the business? And what was your very first year like in the business?
So this is I'm starting my 5th year this month. And the first year I wasn't full-time because I had to work, and you know how it is. It's very difficult to be a part-time agent. So the first year really didn't go that well. I didn't really do much. The second year though, I quit my job, my very well-paying job that a lot of people thought I was absolutely crazy for doing. But I wasn't happy. So I have a background in law enforcement, federal corrections. I worked for a major biotech company, and it just wasn't fulfilling. And I thought, you know what, I want to do something that I want to do, not just a guaranteed paycheck, not the practical thing. I want to do something that's going to make me happy. So the first year, couldn't really do much. The second year, I was fortunate enough to be able to quit my job and go full time. And it was very challenging because of the brokerage that I was at. So I started out at Century 21, and there really wasn't much guidance. It's not a terrible brokerage by any means, but it's just not very conducive to new agents. There's not much training, not much guidance. And a lot of the people that I worked with there were not very keen to answer questions, because to me, it felt like they didn't want to help you. They didn't want to answer questions because you would somehow take business from them. Like it was competition. And I haven't seen, then Keller Williams is like complete opposite of that. But my first year, I was there from 2017 to 2019. My first year, like I said, it was challenging because I didn't have much guidance. So I felt like, I always say, like a rudderless ship. Like I had no clue what to do, no guidance. And then I actually met Victor Havens out one night, and we had a little conversation about Keller Williams. And I just wasn't sure, because I was always told you shouldn't jump from brokerage to brokerage. It's not the brokerage, it's the agent. It's what you put into it. But that's very true. But I also think that the brokerage does have a lot to do with helping new agents develop. So I had met Victor, was thinking about it. And then I met Linda Lee, and she encouraged me to just come and have a conversation with Stephen. So Stephen invited me to scripts practice. And within the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm in, I'm coming here. This is going to be amazing.
Didn't take you long.
No, it was literally, I'm not even joking. Within the first 5 minutes, I was like, I'm done. This is it for me. And so after scripts, I went to go talk to him. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go tell them, I'm switching brokerages. And they had actually given me, they were hemorrhaging agents at that point, because that's when everybody was going over to Compass. And they had offered me a 90-10 split, and they paid for like a whole bunch of new signs, marketing. I mean, they were just trying to keep people there. And I felt bad for switching after they had just done all that for me, but I had to do what was best for me and best for my business. So I don't even remember what day I met with Stephen, but literally the next day I told them, I'm going to change directions and change brokerages. And from that point on, I knew that my career would go in a more positive direction. Unfortunately, I joined in August of 2019, and I had been sick, like stomach wise, for a number of years. But when I came to Keller Williams, everything kind of ramped up with my health. that August, that same month that I joined.
Mhm.
But I still took it all in, was going to scripts, trying to learn as much as I could, even while my health was just still going downhill.
Mhm.
But I felt like I had so much support there that even though I didn't know what the heck was going on with me, I was still able to learn, still able to grow. And then January of 2020, I got diagnosed with stage 3 rectal cancer. And I'm thinking, I just joined this fantastic brokerage. I'm getting all the guidance. My business is starting to pick up. And now, I'm going to be going through this like life-changing thing.
Mhm.
And I was very grateful that I was at Metro because I still continued to sell. I was really, really sick. I spent a lot of time in the hospital, but I had so much support that it didn't make it, I wouldn't say easy, but it made it easy, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
anybody that comes to me now, I have actually an agent that's at another brokerage that she's heard me talk so positively about Metro that she's thinking about coming over. And
Mhm.
it's been such a great experience. And I've never had, at any job, I mean, even when I worked in the prison, it was a family, but I've never had such a fantastic work experience as I have had at Metro. Everybody is truly a team. Everybody is there to help. Every question that I've had has been answered. Nobody's looking at it as like, oh, your competition. It's just truly a team and a group effort. And I truly appreciate that. And that has actually helped. I mean, I continued to grow through the 2 years that I was dealing with the cancer. And then now this year has been my best year in real estate yet. And I really attribute a lot of that to the guidance that I've received at Metro.
Mhm. That's a pretty nice share. Thank you very much for being honest and open about that. When you have a major health crisis, what went through your head during that time? Because you're
So
like you said, you're starting to get traction with real estate, and all of a sudden, boom, you get slapped in the face with something that's like,
Well, I'm a very stubborn individual. My grandma used to call me,
no.
yeah, my grandma used to say, you have a head like a rock. You don't listen. You don't do this, that, and the other. And I was told that I needed to like stop doing what I was doing. I needed to focus on, getting through the first rounds of chemo and radiation. I just needed to focus. And I'm like, no, I have worked so hard to build this business. There is no, excuse my language, and I even told my oncologist and my surgeon, I said, there's no fucking way I'm stopping. I'm not. I said, I am not going to let this completely destroy all the progress that I've made and tank my business. I'm like, no way, not going to happen.
Mhm.
And I tell you when they told me the news, I had gone in for a colonoscopy and I thought they were confirming a Crohn's diagnosis. That's what initially I was told that I had. And when he said, no, you have a very large mass, malignant mass. We can't stage it yet, but we pretty much know you're stage 3. This is going to be one hell of a journey. And I cried for like 5 minutes. And then I was like, okay, let's fucking do this. Like, let's get through this cancer shit. Let me keep building my business. And I looked at it as a challenge. Like, I've been challenged in my life before, but I saw that this was like the ultimate challenge. Like, how much can I do? Like, how much can I push myself while I'm going through this? And I just was like, let's do this. That was the one and only time that I cried, aside from like when I was in pain, crying. But like, I never thought, okay, oh, woe is me. I just was like, from the south side of Chicago, I come from a family of immigrants. Let's just do this. Like, let's see how good I can be given the circumstances.
Mhm. I'm kind of left speechless, but I'm like, yeah, that you just turned on its head and said, let's just go move forward.
Yeah.
Can't wallow in the self-doubt and self grief and aggravation and frustration.
Yep. And there's one quote that is my favorite quote of all time. I'm a huge Rocky fan. It's from Rocky Balboa. And his quote, what he says to his son, he's like, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And that's always in my mind. Like, and that's the thing is challenge that came with, I mean, I was hospitalized. I can't even tell you how many times, but I'm just like, okay, keep hitting me because I'm just going to keep getting back up. Like, this is not going to take control of my life. This is not going to, I refuse to let it control my life and control the business that I have started to build.
And you're pretty outspoken on social media. You share a lot.
Yes.
So did that help your journey? Just sharing that, get it all out?
It did. I would definitely say it did. And it was nice to feel the support. And especially like going through that during COVID, my parents live in Italy and they could not come back. They live in the north where it was complete. Like if we think it was like militant here with not being able to do things, they literally had the carabinieri in the streets patrolling. Like you could not leave your home. So there was no way she could come to help me. And I had to rely on, you reached out to me a lot to make sure I was okay. Alicia was fantastic. She brought me groceries. And then Carrie Dunn, who's at another brokerage, like she basically like was there for everything. And then I see Ed took me to my surgery. So I had barely known, I had known maybe Carrie for maybe 2 months and we had not really talked outside of work, but she was right there with me. Ed, the same thing, Alicia, the same thing. It was easier to go through that knowing I had the support from the office and then the support of people that I know if they could, they would be there in a heartbeat to help me. But it just kept helping me to like, just keep fighting. You're a freaking Del Priore, just do it,
So you came to us, did you do deals at the other place?
Did I what?
Or did you do transactions at the other place or was this where you started doing them?
No, I did. I think I had like 4 or 5 under my belt.
Okay.
And they were rough. And one of the biggest reasons why I knew that it wasn't for me is I joined a team early on there. And I had reached out to this agent because I had a question. And she was the only one that responded. And so I met up with her and joined her team. And I quickly realized she just was in it for my piece of the commission. She didn't take me on buyer consults, listing presentations. I mean, it was just garbage. And my first deal, she subscribed to Redfin leads. So my first deal was actually a Redfin lead, but she had to write the offer, but I did everything. And she didn't even include me. It's not even showing that I did that transaction. And so right there, like no help, nobody else. There was actually 3 agents there that were very kind to me and would help me out. But I mean, the transactions that I did there, I had no freaking clue what I was doing because there was no guidance. It's like you go through the courses, but that's only like a piece of it. Like when I was a cop, like the police academy, you go through the academy, but you don't actually learn how to be a cop until you're actually out on the streets. Same thing with real estate. You can you can have all the education, but until you have that practical experience, you're kind of floundering. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was drowning there. And I mean, I got through the transactions, but it was not a very positive experience. Let's just say that.
What did you learn besides not being a positive experience from your first few deals? What was your takeaway?
My takeaway was, so I come from a background where there's, you have to pay attention to detail. You have to really know what you're doing and you have to be knowledgeable. And my takeaway was I couldn't rely on anybody else because nobody was going to help me, that I really had to take it upon myself to do whatever research I could do, whatever classes I could take, whatever I could do to help myself because nobody else there was going to do it for me. And that's the complete opposite of like Metro, like everybody's there to help you. And I think my business, I think I would have done a lot better my first year had I been at Metro.
We all go through what we need to go through to get to where we are.
Yeah. So, and I joined Century 21 because a couple friends of mine were over there already. And so that was kind of all I knew. And so otherwise, had I known better, I would have started out at Metro.
So then fast forward to Metro 2019, you get the diagnosis and then what did you do for business? How, because you said everybody's stepping in to help you, but how are you getting business? Because
I had,
you're in and out of the hospital, right?
yeah, and I actually, so one of the deals that I did, I was getting released and I had a nurse taking out IVs in one arm, another nurse on the other arm taking blood work, and I get a phone call, and it's from a guy that I had. He's a former client from one of my other jobs, and so he's like, "Hey, you came highly recommended. Can you help me?" And it's funny because I'm like, I have the AirPods in, and I'm like, have the nurses, and they're doing their thing, and so literally, I'm like saying, okay, sure. Like, when do you want to go see something? And at that point, because I was so sick, my cousin from Chicago had come to take care of me. And I'm thinking, I don't want to lose this business because I don't want him to think that I can't do it. So I didn't even tell him. The next day, I actually went to show him properties. I had, because I had a stomach abscess, I had a tube coming out of my butt. I had the drain bag. I literally taped it to my leg, put on my clothes. I was in excruciating pain because if you ever had a tube put in your butt, like they go right through the muscle. So any movement whatsoever is just awful, right? So I had my cousin flew out and I literally went to go show homes. I was in excruciating pain. Yeah, we ended up seeing one that he liked. We wrote an offer, but I remember after the showing, I went right into the car, popped a couple oxy, and went to sleep, and then woke up later to write the offer. But it was so I got a lot of they were referral based business, but I also did a lot of cold calling because I took advantage of, I can't physically go out as much as I'd want to, or probably should. I shouldn't have even been on those showings. Like if my doctor knew that I did that, they would have probably killed me. But I just took advantage. I had Red X at the time, and I just was calling FSBOs, expireds, geo calls. I'm doing those care calls. That's basically what I was doing. And then doing, make me move, make me sell letters.
So did you get business out of the hospital stays?
I'm still in touch with a lot of the nurses that I met because they were like, I can't believe you're working. You must be tough. So they're like, do you have a card? And I'm like, duh. So I'm actually in the process of working with a few of the nurses. I don't know if they're going to exactly qualify. A few of them are actually all of them are thinking of moving out of state now. But yeah, like I guess you would say, I mean, haven't closed anything, but I did get business and I got a referral from that. Yeah. So
I remember one of my surgeries where I'm going under, I'm lead generating for real estate with the surgical team. So yeah, you got to do it.
When I went under for my initial surgery, I told my mom I was going to say this, and as they're like, doing the anesthesia, I'm like, do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell real estate? That was like my last word. And there was like a huge chuckle in the room. And yeah, it was funny. And then when I came out of the surgery, I remember I was hopped up on so much shit. And I'm literally there on my laptop trying to answer emails. Like, I had no business doing any of that. But again, I'm stubborn. And I'm going to do what I want to do, even if it's not the best thing for me at the time. But
so I'm a Taurus, and they always say that, Tauruses are so stubborn. I'm like, no, it's not that we're stubborn. We're firmly rooted in our resolve and our convictions, and we know what we want, and we don't give up on moving forward with it.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's kind of what you're doing now. So then you're going through the treatment. How long did you go through all that?
So I had 2020 March and April. I had adjuvant chemo and radiation. So I was going through both of that at the same time.
During July the middle 10th, of COVID too, by the way.
Yeah. July 10th, I had my surgery to remove the tumor and to put on my ileostomy bag, which was super fun. I was re-hospitalized. Actually, I was sent home after 4 days, but then I was back in the hospital because the anesthesia had messed up my bladder and my kidneys. So I had to go in, I had to have a bag, you know, to pee in. And then I went home from that. And then a week later, I was rehospitalized again for a massive, baseball size abscess in my stomach. Come to find out a year and a half later, they had punctured my colon. So I had been hospitalized 3 times from July 10th of 2020 with stomach abscesses because they just didn't properly look and see why these things were happening.
Wow.
And then while I was having those abscesses, I had to go through more chemo. I had 4 months worth of chemo, and that about killed me. So the ileostomy bag just dehydrates you. Literally, anything you put in your mouth, the second it goes in your mouth, like you can literally feel it going through your stomach and you can see it in the bag. So I could not stay hydrated to save my life. So I was pretty much in and out of the ER every day for about 4 months to get fluids.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that was a huge, huge challenge. And then they ended up stopping me with 1 chemo left because the nurse and my doctor basically said, it's going to kill you. Like there was 3 days where I was laying on my living room floor because I was so dehydrated, I could not breathe. And I'm just like, nope, I'm not dying. I got cats. Like nobody's gonna take care of my cats. But so it got really, really rough. And then it kind of settled down a little bit January of 2021 when everything kind of stopped. But then there was still more fun. I thought, okay, like they're going to remove the ileostomy bag. Everything's going to be fine. Wrong. So when they removed the bag, I ended up getting a C. diff infection, which is like the worst stomach infection. Like you literally, your butt is like a faucet. Like it's uncontrolled, right? And so I wound up back in the hospital 4 days after I got home. I wound up back in the hospital for a week and a half with a C. diff infection, another stomach abscess. So I had to have another procedure to go in and sew me up because the VA, I'm glad I had insurance because I would not be here today if I didn't, but they were just awful. I mean, they finally went in, saw where they punctured me, saw where all the leaks were coming from, saw where I had the abscesses, and I was on every kind of med you can think of to clear the abscess and to clear the C. diff infection. And I was on antibiotics for 2 months. Now, the radiation coupled with the antibiotics completely destroyed my stomach. And I'm not like embarrassed to say it, but I was in diapers up until September of last year. And I was doing, once we were allowed to do open houses in June, I started doing open houses. I'm just like, I just want to I'm so tired of being in my apartment. I'm so tired of like not being able to do something. So I was literally doing open houses, and Kevin King, he did my first one back with me, and thank God he was there because I literally spent almost the whole time in the bathroom. And so, let's see, we're August. Everything started to stabilize for me March, April of this year, but it is
of this year.
So I literally had basically a year of, having to wear diapers, having to learn how to use my stomach again, basically. So it's been a very, very long and challenging road. Like it has not been easy, but like if I can get through this, I can get through anything now.
If people are listening, I mean, what I want people to get out of this is challenges through adversity can actually catapult you to bigger levels of success. Some people complain because, I don't know, I have a second job or whatever. You have gumption with what you were going through. So if you've never gone through a health crisis, I get it because I've gone through a few. I know what they're like. It's really challenging with your mental mindset to go through something like that. So from when you got diagnosed to about March or April this year, how many transactions did you do?
I did 4 transactions in 2020, 4 in 2021, 5 so far this year. And I'm hopefully I can get my listing in escrow, which will make 6. So it's been, like I said, I still continue to work. I had a lot of support and help, but yeah, 4 in 2020, 4 2021, 5 so far this year. And I know those aren't like crazy big numbers, but for me it's big because
it's big, Nicole, it's big.
I mean, I look at other people, other agents, and I know you can't compare yourself to others, but it's hard not to. And it's like, I wish I was doing business like some of the other agents were doing, but at the same time, everything that I've been through, I'm lucky that I was even able to do 8 in those 2 years and 5 this year, because I still, like I said, I was still like in a bad way. Like I literally could not leave my apartment, and Sherry Peters, my office mate, like I'd go in and I'd be there for 5 minutes and like, I got to go back home. Like there's just no way I could be here. So it's been challenging, but a good challenge.
How do you think going through that adversity has helped you in the real estate industry? Has it given you more tenacity, more gumption, more drive?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because in my mind, I think, you know what, if I can do all this while I'm that sick, what else can I do when I'm healthy? Like how much further can I go being healthy? And this is really, I mean, when I was a cop, yes, a noble profession. When I was a federal correctional officer, that's a noble profession. But there's just something about this that is just a lot more rewarding. And that's also helped fuel me to want to be better and want to grow, because this is the first time, I'm 43, and this is the first time in my life that I actually enjoy what I'm doing. And so that makes me want to do more. Like,
good.
How can it not,
That's good. Okay, so just on your health, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty well. My stomach has definitely stabilized a lot. Now I'm just dealing with the radiation-induced menopause. So that has been super fun, like hot flashes.
Oh God, I can imagine.
Like right now, I'm sitting in air conditioning and I'm like literally on fire. And then it also, like, I've gotten the fatigue from it, which that has been challenging to try to work around, because I like some days I feel like I've just like ate a whole bottle of sleeping pills. Like that's how tired I am. So now I'm just having to figure out how to navigate like these new challenges. But you know what? Like this is nothing compared to the last 2 years. So
did you get COVID during this time?
Thank God I didn't get it when I was going through all that. I got it in July. I'm pretty sure I got it from Pride. But I'm just glad I got it when I did, and not, while I was going, because that would have just been, I was so sick. That would have been the end. I mean,
They didn't have to wipe out your entire immune system, though. You still had your immune system.
Yeah. And I had just gotten and I had just gotten my 3rd booster right before I went to Italy in June. So I think that helped it, because when I got it, I thought it was allergies. I didn't think it was anything. I just thought it was allergies. So thankfully it was not bad.
I got mine at Coachella. So it was bad. It was bad for me and my partner. I was sicker, but it wasn't fun. Okay, so then how's your business this year? Because you did something for the first time ever. What did you do this year?
I capped, which is awesome. The only thing that like makes me sad about that is since I joined in August, I ended up capping in July. So I didn't get to take advantage of it, but like still, it was a huge thing for me to be able to do that, like given that I was not healthy last year at all. So I still sold last year. And so that was like a pretty big accomplishment for me.
So you sold between August of last year and the end of July, out of those 8 units you did, or 9, so 9, some of them spilled over into your fiscal year with KW.
Yeah.
So it was about 6 or 7 deals that got you the cap.
Yeah. So yeah, it was 4, it was 9. Yeah. 4 actually trying to think, because I think I gosh, chemo brain. But so yeah, it was somewhere like around 9 or 8.
And I apologize if you can hear something about, we have an air show in Chicago this weekend.
Oh,
And
nice.
they're practicing today or something right over our house. Okay. All right. So how's your business then so far this year? Because now that you've capped, you're on track to do, how many deals do you think you're on track to do this year?
I want to do 10. I'm on track right now to do 8. That's if 2 of the buyers that so Facebook ads through command, I had kind of almost written them off, but I just got 2 more buyer leads. So right now I have, including the one that I have in my listing, I'm on track to do 8, but I really want to do 10. Like 10's my goal.
So what are your spokes of your lead generation wheel? What do you work?
So I've been lead genning through Facebook, so just reaching out to people via Messenger, just like doing the DTD2, reaching out to people that way. I've been fortunate to have, I've basically once, because I'm going to say it's going to close, once this listing closes, I will have gotten 6 deals from one person. So 3 couples that I helped list and purchase. So that's been like a bulk of my business this year. And then whatever else comes from these ads. I had a lot of people unfortunately drop off when the interest rates rose. And so that kind of hurt. I was going to be at 10 had it not been for the shift that we've just experienced.
And though we're still selling stuff too.
Yeah.
And sometimes now with those buyers, I'd say go back to them and say, maybe we can relook again, because now maybe you can get a better deal. Even though the rates are up there, you won't be overpaying for the property, because now it used to be just, you tell a person you're going to list our house, it's just pack your bags and pick your price and pack your bags. I've heard that the other day. Now it's more like, okay, we got to adjust the price to get it to sell.
Yeah, and that was the biggest challenge that I'm facing now with my sellers is when we listed about a month ago, the price that we listed at was a comparable price. Things were selling at that price. And because everything's just kind of shifted really quickly in the last month, it's just been, they would only let me do a very small price reduction. I told them it wasn't going to work. And so last night we had a conversation. Now they finally came around to an aggressive reduction that I know will get the job done, because we've had a ton of interest, but it's been price. And I think right now people are definitely being a little more picky. They're not just making rush judgments and writing offers, like they're taking their time. So yeah, this listing has been a challenge. I had 2 very challenging ones last year that ended up expiring, and they didn't listen to me about the price, and it expired. And of course, it's always our fault. And they relisted with another agent, both sets of people. They dropped the price to where I told them they needed to be, and of course, they both sold. So
it usually ends up that way. You do the hard work, and then somebody else comes in and gets it sold at the price it should have sold at.
Yeah, and I got the one nice thing though was a couple, it's a team, the ones that took over my listing in La Mesa. I had just done a deal with them. And so it was nice validation and nice for them to say, they said, we have been watching this listing. We've been watching all the work you're doing. Because they were one of the people I cold called to say, hey, do you have a buyer? And they just said, you couldn't have done any more than you did. We really admire like how hard you worked for basically a lost cause. And, we feel bad that we got the listing, we got it sold, but just know that we saw you, like, we know how hard you were working, that it's not you. And they've been in the business for quite some time. So it was nice hearing that. But that is one of the challenging things I would say as an agent, is people just not listening to you. And again, somebody else benefiting from all of my hard work, swooping in and they're the hero, even though you were telling them what they needed to do the whole time.
So what's your lesson on that?
Not to take unreasonable sellers. Just walk away because these 2 particular ones, there was just no changing their mind. they were the
Mhm.
experts, even though they knew nothing what they were talking about, but they were the experts. So I'm just saving myself from that frustration. Um, and this couple, I knew they would eventually come around to the reduction. But those people, I knew it was a lost cause, but I didn't have anything else in my pipeline at that point. So I just took it to take
Mhm.
it, just to have business. And I think I did 26 open houses for the La Mesa listing. I spent close to $3,500 on marketing, and
Mhm.
somebody else got the paycheck for it.
Well, I'm hoping that you learned. I mean, if I'm coaching you, I would say, great, what did you learn? What could you do better next time? What scripts do you need to incorporate into your script vocabulary to help you? And then make sure you use those scripting, like with a seller, agreeing on a price that will cause it to sell is different than selecting a price to put it on the market.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the verbiage. If you're listening, if you're talking with a seller, for anybody on this call, if you're talking with a seller right now, you got to talk about pricing as a strategy and a marketing technique more so than a determination of value. And the goal is to get the most amount of eyeballs or buyer's eyes on the home, and make sure you're positioned in the market that will cause the property to sell.
And I think like
Because in
there's
the end, everybody looks at the home and what value. Go ahead.
oh, and I was gonna say, like, there's some people that you just are not gonna change their mind. They're just like the people that I was dealing with, they were experts. They're experts on
Mhm.
everything, you know?
A lot of those out there.
Yeah. And I realized after it was a very painful lesson, but there's some people that you can utilize the scripts, and because that's one thing I did is like when those expired and they got sold by somebody else, I was like, okay, what could I have done better? Like maybe I wasn't persuasive enough. Maybe they didn't look at me as like an expert in my field. And I know the one seller, the La Mesa, she's like, are you even old enough to know what you're talking about? And I was like, well, I'm a lot older than you think I am. And I have had a lot of life experience, but you're going to encounter people that just are not going to listen to you because they know everything. But the lesson is to still learn those scripts and learn how to deal with the people that you can change their mind.
So I got another script for you. I'd rather turn you down now than let you down later. I'm not taking your listing.
Yeah. I would absolutely say that now. Yeah. They were very hard lessons, and especially, racking up debt because I could not work as much as I needed to work. And so racking up the debt from those two listings, like it hurt, like
Mhm.
financially. And it's just, but, lesson learned. An
Yeah.
expensive lesson, but I'd rather
Hey,
learn it now than later.
we've all had them. I'll call it my Sally Rose. That was one of the sellers that drove me batty my first year in the business. So I get that.
Yeah.
They know everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so your business then, you say you're coming from Facebook ads, and then as well as your Facebook itself, you're reaching out to the people that you are connected with on Facebook. And you said you were cold call prospecting expires and FISBOs. Are you doing that now?
I wasn't having very much success. So that La Mesa listing actually came from calling an expired. And I had Red
Mhm.
X for a good 2 years. I had the dialer. I was getting FISBOs, expired, GeoFarm, and nothing really came from that. I think I'm better face to face than I am over the phone. And I think people can get a better feel for you in person. And
Mhm.
so I canceled Red X, and I've been more successful at reaching out to people on Messenger than I ever was,
Mhm.
cold calling, because a lot of times those numbers aren't even the right numbers. They're from the previous owner, or it's just a
Yeah.
bogus number. So it was kind of a dead end. It just didn't work for me.
So how big is your database then right now?
So I went through at the beginning of the year with my tribe, with Melinda, Sherry, and Amy, and Deborah, and I just because there was a coach that I used to follow, and he was just all about adding volume to your database. Just put everybody and everybody in there. And I wanted to weed it out so it would be a quality database, you know?
Mhm.
And so I think I have, and I know I still need to grow it a lot more. There's about 150 people now in there, which is not a ton, but they've been quality contacts. And I'm going for quality, not quantity. Like, I hear people say, oh, I've got 10,000 people in my database. Great, but how much business are you getting from that 10,000?
So there's a coach within Keller Williams. I can't remember his name, but his whole focus was he only had 250 people in his database, and he did consistently 100 plus deals a year because he worked those 250 really well. So like you said, you don't need a big database. You just need a database that you know really well, and you can do referrals.
And
But
how
if I was to say, make sure you're building your core people out of that 150 you have, find the ones that are also in a sales type job and do a lot of networking with them, like insurance salespeople, financial planners, CPAs. Those people interact with the type of people you want.
And actually, you mentioning that, so I worked for a CPA for 4 years. So I was one of the victims of the housing crisis in 2008. I lost my condo, lost my job, and ended up getting hired on by this accountant. And I was basically his assistant for 4 years. And right when, I guess this was like maybe, had to be like the end of 2019 or 2020, he said, I'm going to help you out. I want you to draft up an email that basically sounds like I wrote it. I'm gonna let you come in here, sit at my desk, and fire off these emails to all of my clients. And he handpicked the ones that would be, I think I sent out about 500 emails. And that's how I got that client when I was in the hospital. Yeah. So he's just like, have at it. Here's my computer. Send it from my email. So it looked like he sent those emails, but it was really me.
Is he the one person you got the 6 deals from, or is that someone else?
No, that's someone else. He's the one that did not listen to me on my Imperial Beach listing, one of the two, because his girlfriend calls the shots and she's the expert in everything. And of course, once they listed with somebody else, they dropped it to the price that I told them that it needed. I had an offer in hand for the price that they ended up accepting at. But yeah, and he felt bad about that. But it's like he has to let her do whatever, I guess, to keep the peace at home, which I guess I get. But at the same time, you're messing with somebody's livelihood, which is not cool.
He can make it up by sending you more referrals down the road.
Yeah, yeah.
Qualified referrals. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as we get close to the end of the conversation, I always ask this question: what advice would you give a person that's on this call that maybe they're a brand new agent, or they're working a second job, or they're trying to break into real estate, or maybe they haven't done what they thought they should be doing at this point? What advice would you give them?
I would say, like, and this is what I tell everybody, like, just stick with it. And always remember that not everybody starts out on equal footing. Some people may have come from careers that has made them or given them a lot of contacts. Like, not everybody starts out at the same pace and same footing. So just stick with it. And like 5 years later, now everything is really starting to happen for me. So just stick it out, do whatever you have to do to stick it out. And I'm very, very fortunate. So my parents were business owners back in Chicago. They owned a photography business and they struggled their first 5 years. And my mom told me, she says, we struggled. And the only reason why we were successful for as long as we were, they owned the business for like 20 plus years. They were one of the top photographers in all of the South Side of Chicago. Like, they did a lot of big things. And they said they would have never been able to be successful had it not been for family helping them out. So I was very fortunate that on the really rough periods that I had financial support, and I've tried to pay my mom back, and she just sends the money right back to me. But and I understand that not everybody is fortunate enough to have that kind of help, but just stick it out. If you truly love it, and if this is something that you truly want to do, then stick it out. Don't give up. Just keep plugging away, because it will eventually happen. You just have to stick with it.
Great words and great advice for anybody. Just keep doing it. We don't care if you get knocked down. We care that you get back up and keep moving.
Yeah. Just keep going. Because again, not everybody's going to start out on the same footing. So, and don't compare yourself to those people, because you can't compare. You can't.
Everybody's different. Well, Nicole, you to me are a huge inspiration with all the stuff you've gone through, and you're still here. And I really, really admire the work that you've done and the work you will be doing in the future as well too. And as your broker, it's been an honor to be your broker. What's that?
I admire you too. I mean, you didn't have an easy thing that you had to go through, and you just kept going. You just kept pounding away and kept going, and you did not quit. So like, you're an inspiration to me as well. You know, having that inspiration helps me, you know, like, you don't know who's that, like, I don't know what the saying is, but you don't know who's watching, you know, and who, you know, might be watching, listening, whatever. And like, you're definitely, because you shared with me, you know, when I got sick, you know, you shared with me your journey, and like, that was just like, okay, I can fucking do this, you know, like, got this, you know?
Yeah. Nothing like a little health challenge to kick us in the ass and get us going. Well, Nicole, it's been a great pleasure today. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure everybody else got a lot of value out of today's call.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I'm so glad you're here. All right. Oh, there's Eddie. All right. Everybody have a great day.